And we actually have some fun experiments going on here. Heather's going to teach us a little bit about the water in Lake Tahoe, temperature, and kind of what we're seeing right now over the year. Can you tell us a little bit about what we have here?
Yeah, so this is a really fun science activity. Basically, we just have two different temperatures of water. We have cold water, which represents the bottom of Lake Tahoe, and warm water, which is yellow, which represents the top surface of Lake Tahoe. And so what's your hypothesis of what's going to happen here?
Well, I'm going to say that the hot water is going to be at the top.
Yes, you are correct. So let's go ahead. We're going to remove this divider. And so what happens is that hot water molecules are moving much more quickly, and so they are less dense. So hot water is a lot less dense than the more dense cold water that sits at the bottom of the lake. And so just like Lake Tahoe, we end up with this stratification where you see the warm water sitting at the top of the more dense cold water underneath. And this time of year in the spring is when that warm water is setting up. It's just starting to get a little bit warmer, and the depth will continue through the summer, where we just have like the top 50 to 150 feet warming up to potentially the biggest maximum of like 65, 70 degrees. But you may notice that if you swim down deeper, it gets cold pretty quick. And so right now is that time when stratification is happening. And so hopefully you can see the difference between this yellow and the blue stratification, which is a pretty neat discovery. And water has this really unique property. So then, of course, if you were to put ice in here, ice would float. So it's kind of a unique property of water that it's colder, when it's more dense when it's colder, until it gets to the point where it's beginning to freeze, and then it actually gets less dense and floats.
That's why the top is ice.
Yes. So you mentioned that you had been scuba diving, so you've actually seen this thermocline, which is this difference between the warm and the cold?
Yeah, I have, and actually it's very unique to Lake Tahoe, where you can actually see the swirls in the water where the temperature level changes. Very cool. One of the only places I've ever seen it.
Yeah. I wish I was not so afraid of scuba diving, where I could actually go down and see it. But our research divers talk about it, that it's actually an area where you can see a difference. It gets a little cloudy, and you can actually see the sediment and some of the dead algae that actually sit right there, that it's such a clear difference. And so we actually have created this little version of the lake that shows we're in this kind of spring warming season where you start to see, again, represented by yellow, warmer water sitting on top, and that'll get deeper through the summer. And then when the fall comes, it actually loses that heat, and we have evaporative heat loss, and eventually it'll get to a point in the winter where it's the same temperature from the top to the bottom, and this is the time when the lake does some of its most important cleansing. It'll mix all the way, hopefully, top to bottom. One concern with climate change is we're kind of getting to where these seasons are lasting longer than this one, and we're no longer seeing that mixing all the way top to bottom. But this is a really fun kind of interactive and hands-on science activity that kids can try to understand what happens, and we love showing this and explaining some of the lake physics to kids and adults that visit the Tahoe Science Center.
Very nice, and it is great to have some education on, the lake and its cleansing itself, and also to know when it is at its warmest for us who want to go swimming. All right, well, thank you so much, Heather, and we will be back for one more segment in about a half hour, but we will go back to Todd on the South Shore for now.
Thanks, Shannon. When we come back, we'll do an update on the ride to recovery right here in Lake Tahoe. But first, we got your weather updates, road conditions, ride to recovery in the studio, and then we'll go back live to Linda Atkins in our North Shore studios. Plus, we got prizes to give away. Bribe your ass into watching, huh? You can watch Matt Lauer. He ain't going to give you nothing. You tune in here, might get a refrigerator magnet. We don't know. Free oil change. Hard saying, not knowing. But we will be back.